rising in popularity over the last 2 patches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of these globals, clearly the focus here from BLG is they don't want to allow GAM to play the map, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's triple bans towards these global champions. The way that GAM really does play is much kind of slower than I think people really think of when 100%. They think of, you know, these Vietnamese teams, these teams that are super aggressive, that like to get in your face. Well, it's been more about the macro style for Levi and Kiaya and playing the map and creating advantages, but mostly they are taking over games in the later stages of the game. So BLG triple ban these global style champions, take the Taliyah first pick. Clearly that is the emphasis for them.
We'll see what the response is, and it seems like that the Rumble is the direction for Kiaya, one of his preferred champions. When we think about him as a player, GAM do like to trust in Kiaya and Levi as a duo. That top side of the map, that strong side of the map where they often find advantages, wanting to get that Rumble into the hands of Kiaya. Even after the few nerfs that the champion has experienced in recent patches, it's still a strong laner that can really be set up for success, especially in these mid-game team fights. And with the Varus paired alongside it, GAM already looking to get themselves some strong lanes.
Absolutely, and when you show up to these objectives, obviously you're going to want to have setup for the Rumble, for the Varus. You're going to be looking for some of that lockdown. Of course, because there were no support bans and we are in game 1 of the Fearless Draft, you could take anything, right? There's so many to choose from here. Poppy is interesting, relatively early pick, but I think this is a read on what GAM is going to need for their comp. They're saying you are going to need a Leona or a Rel or something along these lines to really facilitate the picks that you have already grabbed. So we are going to go more for the denial in this pick.
It's also something we've seen a lot from Beichuan throughout the LPL spring, and there's flexibility with it being used in both that support and jungle position. Now, I know that some LPL fans will be hesitant to see Bin on the Ambessa, something that has received a decent amount of criticism, but it is something that he's played a lot of throughout spring, and he's looking to have a strong performance here in Game 1 against Kiaya's Rumble. I'm excited to see how he does on the pick, as GAM now moves into their last pick for the first phase. So they want to guarantee a support hit, and it looks like they do with the Nautilus being hovered right now. This gives them a very powerful bot lane 2 versus 2. The downside is that BLG can now further pinch that jungle pool. If they know that they want Beichuan on this Poppy, it means that they can really limit the options for Levi and give Beichuan a more favorable matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You know, there also is the possibility, of course, of On playing this down in the bot lane. We have seen him play it a couple times. So, you know, if they want to move that around, they have that option. And for GAM, it's likely to be more bans here towards that AD role. I'm expecting they already banned out the Kalista. They already banned out the Ezreal. Instead, they are going to target the Rel, which is interesting to me because I just feel like, you know, out of all of these early games, banning the engage supports doesn't really accomplish that much because there are so many different ones that fill really a very similar role between Leona and Rakan and Alistar and Nautilus and Rel and all of these champs. As we see TK pumping up the crowd there with the GAM fans here. He's Mr. Worldwide. He's everywhere.
The energy is electric as the jungle pool continues to be pinched. The Vi now going to be taken away from Levi's pool. On the side of GAM, I mean, the Kai'Sa is something they should consider when going up against Elk, but the support pool may still be the area that they want to try and limit. As you mentioned, like Leona, still very prevalent. Renata as a possibility as well.
Yeah, it's super interesting because obviously it's a clear focus on all the AD junglers. They've triple banned AD junglers here, you know, over on the BLG side, but there's still things like Jarvan, there's still Viego, there's still Lee Sins, there still are some of those options. They are clearly expecting some sort of heavy AD pairing to go alongside this Rumble that's been taken on the top side. And instead, the final ban will be against Emo here. They're going to take away the Yone, deny that as a possibility. Yone Rumble, classic combo, you know, go in with that ultimate from Yone and just layer the equalizer over the top.
Now thinking about things like the Wukong as a possibility for Levi. Don't know if he's loving that into the Poppy in particular. The Corki, relatively safe mid lane matchup. Does give you some options to roam, but when we think of Emo as a player, his introduction into the roster later on, I mean, through spring, he's very much a facilitator. He's a player that doesn't take up a lot of the resources. He's much more about enabling both Artemis and Kiaya, and he's a role player for the team. And since his introduction, we've seen a lot more synergy within the team, I would say, and that's kind of been the priority for GAM, finding their footing as the bot lane quickly gets locked in for BLG, the Jhin and Alistar combination. So they have a decent amount of poke from their side. Their engage is mainly going to come from on the Alistar. They have a lot of disengage tools simply due to the fact that they have both Alistar and the Poppy, along with the zone control that the Taliyah can provide. But I will say that this composition from BLG kind of has skirmishing elements, but it does kind of do a lot of different things, whereas GAM is very much in the direction of team fighting.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, a lot of poke here, obviously. Varus plus Corki, really common combo with those double 80 carries, both able to poke down your opponents, drop the equalizer. You have the Maokai ultimate as well as the Nautilus to try to set them up for this team fight. So I do think it's going to be a lot about GAM getting to those objectives first, trying to force BLG to walk into them, poking them out, and making their job really, really difficult to find those engages. Whereas I think, you know, here for Knight on this Taliyah, if he can get pushed, he's going to be happy to try to attack those side lanes. Obviously, the skirmish power really high, like you were talking about. And Poppy Taliyah just always a really deadly combo because you can tackle just straight into the unraveled earth. You don't even need a wall to actually stun them up.
It's very true. We are getting ready to jump into our first game. The crowd is excited. We're excited. It's going to be a crazy game one. GAM going for a very traditional front-to-back type of composition, which means that when it comes to the fights, that's what we're going to be keeping our eyes on, because that's the scariest thing about BLG. The skill ceiling of these individuals is so high that you know that in every single fight, their ability to outplay is one of the things you always have to be scared of.
Non-subscribers, we will see you in 30 seconds, but absolutely agree, Vedius. It is going to be a really interesting game, number one. Time to set the tone for this best of 5. See if GAM can surprise some people, take a game, get competitive here with BLG, and really flip the expectations. We've already had our first series go all 5 games. It's time to find out if we can make 10 games the dream happen here on day one.
I mean, you have to go back a few years, but Knight, he did have an unfortunate experience against GAM, the top esports versus GAM matchup during the group stages of Worlds. But of course, a lot has happened since then. BLG rising to prominence on the international stage, making a World Finals last year against Tier 1. So close! A single game being the difference, and that final game being so close. But, I mean, Faker is inevitable. But BLG, since then, have kind of fallen from grace a little bit. They've gone through a bunch of iterations in that jungle role. And now they find themselves here at MSI with a lot of question marks surrounding them in terms of the level. Let's see what they've brought to us here in this game one. It looks like a standard line of scrimmage so far. Bit of early investment in the vision from both sides. Beichuan gonna see what Levi is up to in the early game. But in terms of GAM, I expect the top side to be the priority in terms of their early ganks. As we were talking about, GAM do like to try and enable Kiaya on the top side of the map. But against Bin, I imagine that they really want to try and give Kiaya as many resources to set him up for success.
Absolutely. And to expectation is going to be Poke Varus. You can see he's playing with the Comet. Kiaya also electing to go for the Comet there as well. And it'll be interesting to see how Emo actually builds. We were talking a lot about builds earlier with Corki. But GAM, of course, here, no stranger to the international stage. They are the second seed for the LCP. This is their 4th MSI appearance. Levi, definitely one of the big standout players. If you've been watching International for a long time, you know this guy, you love this guy. Kiaya as well, really has been a mainstay and has been such a part of their success all over these years. And I mean, 9 international events, that tells the story. Pretty incredible track record for GAM across a lot of different years.
And we know that GAM shoulders a lot of responsibility as being a representative for Vietnam, and they shoulder that pressure themselves, and they want to perform for their region. As the
faster level 2 here. On is going to take a lot of damage before he actually gets level 2, and he just has to headbutt Artemis away there. Another hook is going to come in. It does land onto Elk. Elk trying to turn this round, has the 4th shot, gets Artemis quite low. But still, the health bars very heavily favoring GAM as BLG tried to fight for the level 2, but just kind of miscounted the minions and couldn't get there in time.
Some beautiful trading from the bot lane of GAM. I love that
great
aggression.
hook by Elio. On is trying to survive. Will be able to do it as he procs the aftershock right before that piercing arrow came through. But down incredibly low, and topside looking spicy also, as Bin is going to be able to crash this, but not without taking quite a bit of damage.
You look at the jungle pathing, and you can see that Levi is making his way up towards the top side of the map, but an early base will come through from Bin, so he's going to respect the possibility of a gank, as Beichuan is setting his sights to hover around the bot side of the map. Is On actually looking for a quick back.
On is going to stay, though. He elects to stay because Poppy is coming, so they're going to try to make a play very, very quickly here. Elk is trying to keep his wave from crashing, but GAM have no wards, and Beichuan is going to be behind them. They're about to get the bad news here. Flash combo from On, perfectly engaged. They're going for Elio. They flash forward. Artemis trying to finish him off. He grabs first blood. They're looking for another one. Elk's in trouble. It's a double for Artemis, and it's GAM time already. But Beichuan looking to get him back. Flash to follow, gets a double, is able to trade evenly. But how about that? 2 for 2 and a 2v3 for the GAM bot lane.
Incredible aggression from the bot lane of GAM. Without hesitation, they flash in to go for those kills, and they make it happen. In a 2 versus 3, it's GAM that draws first blood in the bot lane.
You have got to love that confidence. There was no fear at all. There's no hesitating. Should we flash back? Should we be running away? Take me through it.
As you highlighted, On thinking about going back to base. They do tick over to level 3 for the GAM bot lane, but On with a great engage. Flash with the 2-man knockup. Beichuan arrives, but the flash in from Elio to connect the hook onto On. The Comet actually gets the kill, and then his W comes back up, meaning that he survives long enough for Artemis to get that second kill. Yes, the wave state is in a bit of an awkward spot, but it still ends up going underneath the tower, and you can see that excitement, that confidence already starting to build in the GAM bot lane.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's a small thing, but because On, when he flash comboed there, he stayed around for one auto before actually trying to back up. It gave Elio the time to get his passive route there, and now Levi is here. They're going to force the flash as that hook actually connected with the minion, but Elk, of course, did not know that was about to happen and had to respect it. So either way, just calibrating down there.
I love the thumbs up from Elio. He knows that he's in their head right now. They're feeling themselves with how the bot lane 2 versus 2 is playing out. The rest of the map is relatively quiet, but I think from GAM's perspective, that's how they want it.
I mean, absolutely. And just look at the buy. Look at the bot lane. You have a cull over here, and then tier double longsword is the buy when you go back, because both of the kills went there to Artemis, and only the fact that Beichuan was able to survive saves that from being a disaster. He's on a triple longsword buy, so likely just going towards Sundered Sky. Pretty standard stuff. Is going to be building aggressively himself, but it is going to be very tough now for Elk and On down in that bot lane, where you're not going to be able to win all-ins, and if you can't look for all-ins, you're just going to slowly get poked out by Artemis.
A good little window utilized by Beichuan there as he steals away those Raptors. Able to get a small lead at the very least over his jungle counterpart, but it's important to remember that Beichuan did himself get those 2 kills. So while it is incredibly positive for the GAM bot lane, they need to now try and leverage this strength that they've been able to develop. So they're swapping them up towards the top side of the map. I question some of these decisions sometimes, only because when you're in that winning state, you have to make that choice of, do we want to try and move it around the map to then try and push it even further, or do we instead want to try and punish the bot side even more? And I think that they could have bullied Elk and On a little bit more, but instead they've chosen to prioritize the top side to get Elio and Levi grouping up and moving into the enemy jungle.
Definitely agree with you, but also a thing to note, because the wave that Elk based on was a pushing wave, it's heavily frozen towards GAM in bot lane, and also in top lane, Artemis moved forward, caught the wave, stacked it, so they have double frozen waves right now in top and bot. They are going to be able to deny, and now they elect to push it out, but they were able to deny all 3 of these melee minions. As you see, the last one is likely to die there, so they denied 3 minions on top side. They denied almost an entire wave from that wave that was pushing towards Kiaya, and he's going to have way more minions to farm. So I do like the thought process there from GAM, as Levi going to show up here and try to make sure that he is covering for any potential Beichuan action. And you can see that Beichuan has already been back to base. Not only is he up over 600 gold, he just spent, so he is massively stronger than Levi right now.
For sure. Keeping my eyes on Knight, as with the level 7, he does have the ulti available. Beichuan runs into Levi.
Yeah, Levi's going to go forward, and they're going to try to knock him back. Remember, no flash available here on Beichuan. He is running Artemis over the wall, looking to try to take him down. Will he be able to do it? On's in the midst of everyone. Levi has to flash out. It's On now that is in trouble. He is off, and Elio trying to survive. Knight can't quite make it happen. Elk is in trouble now. Beautiful cleanse. That was picture perfect from Elk to keep himself alive. Knight, though, going to be hooked in. He is able to get one, but he's going to fall for it at the end of the day. Levi limping out of there. Very close fight, but it is 2 for 1 at GAM at the end of the day.
GAM are bringing the fight to BLG. They're moving into the enemy jungle. They are showing BLG that this side of the map belongs to them. And again, without any hesitation, they force the fight. Now, Bin in a 1v1.
Yeah, he is silenced, and Kiaya could be in trouble. Both still sitting on their ultimates. We'll see if Bin does look for that public execution. The ulti going to get dropped by Kiaya just to clear out the wave. He wants nothing to do with Bin right now. Is going to go grab the honey fruit, and we'll be able to heal up quite a lot off of that.
Wow. But we take into consideration that the first 3 kills were secured by GAM, that Feat of Warfare achievement grabbed by them. First dragon in the map still up as well, but it seems that these grubs are going to be the priority. Let's look back at the replays. We can see it's Beichuan that starts off the fight. Knight is in a position to collapse. I don't know if they were expecting Levi to just turn on them and fight, but Elio was right there with him. Then it turns into this massive brawl, but the positioning of the wall, I think, is more favorable for GAM because both Emo and Artemis are very safe. Artemis moves up to force Knight out of the fight. A beautiful cleanse comes through from Elk to get him away to safety, and then Knight, thinking he can get one exit kill, ends up costing him his life. And giving that kill over to Emo just means that things just continue to go the way of GAM.
Yeah, absolutely. In that replay, BLG was able to get 2 of the grubs. You can see GAM does take 1 for their trouble, so at least you're not going to be giving the Void Might spawn away. But Elio and Levi just grouping up here, heading over to look for a dive on Elk. Remember, there is no cleanse available. He doesn't have his flash for another couple seconds, and he is in so much trouble. There is the hook, and there is the kill. It's another one in the pockets of Artemis. 4 kills in 9 minutes for the GAM bot laner.
It's a beautiful dive. No mistakes, well executed. There was little that Elk could do to respond. And GAM are continuing to find advantages. Now, the gold lead, not insurmountable. BLG still, of course, have ways to come back into this game, and Beichuan doing what he can to cross-map. Securing this dragon, Bin going to be looking to get himself a plate, and Kiaya playing on the weak side for now, making sure that he's just staying safe so that BLG cannot get any cross-map kills. But to see this level of aggression, this level of execution coming through from GAM, I think is a huge surprise.
It is great to see them playing like this. You know, it means we're in for a very exciting series, I think, here. As GAM, when they're on, they just really seem like they're on. There's one of these teams that just, when they catch fire, they really do kind of play with vibes, man. Like, they're one of these teams that really emphasizes that feeling of family and togetherness, and that, you know, one person is less important than the whole. And it's all about this philosophy that they have, that they take into their training, into their practice, into their gameplay, that really has netted them so much success, this trust that they have in each other's, and it can get them pretty far, and we'll see if it can get them a win here against BLG as they are out to a slight lead.
And what I will say is that when you watch the playoff run, sometimes they do just make bad decisions. Sometimes they get individually outplayed, but this roster really does make magic happen at times. The way that they find these incredible steals, the way that they navigate certain fights, like they're a team that fully trusts in each other, and they do a really good job of just committing to the play that they have decided to make, and that makes for some amazing moments and is why they are here at MSI today. Now, of course, the gold lead, 1K, a very good start to the game. Puts them in a good positions, but we still got a lot of the game left to go as they continue to look for a fight.
Yeah, Kiaya gonna sidestep the ulti there, and it's not gonna be a big deal. Like you said, it is 1K, but one thing I will say is it's 1K and it's all on Artemis. This is that playoff run that you were talking about, Vedius.
Yeah, I mean, it looked very scary for them because they ended up losing to CFO in their first run, but then they were able to get that win over Team Secret. The win over Talon, I think, was the biggest surprise, especially the way in which they won it. And then pushing CFO all the way to 5 games was a really crazy run. And again, like some of the consensus I heard was that they're not even the second best team from the LCP. There were question marks, there were doubts that it was kind of a miracle that they made it here, but Game 1, they are looking impressive. Emo gets knocked up.
Oh, he does get knocked up, and he's going to have to flash to safety there, as it looked like the Valkyrie even got interrupted. So as he comes out of that combo, just has to spend the summoner spell. Beichuan down towards the bot side, but Kiaya, of course, did spot him in that dry brush, and Beichuan knows it, goes back and is able to clear that one out.
First items are starting to be completed across the board. The Heartsteel coming through from the Maokai, going for more of a defensive kind of frontlining tanky build.
And I actually really like this because I do think when you are not solo AP, it's not worth it. There's the flash, and it's going to connect, and the Change of Corruption is there as well. GAM, it's surprise! They jump over the wall. They take him down. Kiaya gets the kill on Bin.
Bin was not expecting that at all.
Neither was I!
I mean, our observers were showing his Bin POV, and so we just saw the fog of war, and out of nowhere, GAM attack. The surprise collapse means that they find a big pick onto Bin, and now the advantages are starting to be...
Jump scare.
It's happening across the board, and that lead that Beichuan had been able to build for himself early on because of those 2 early kills, that gap is starting to close. And meanwhile, for Artemis, a 1.4K gold lead for him.
But yeah, back to the Maokai point. To me, you know, if you're not solo AP as Maokai, I think it is just wrong to go AP almost always. You know, there's so much damage on this team. You have Kiaya on the Rumble, you have double AD carry. You just need to create space for them. You need to be able to peel. You need to be able to create that zone of control to buy the Corki and the Varus time to do their work. So I absolutely love that he is going to be going full tank here with that Heartsteel. Makes a lot of sense.
I also love this vision investment from GAM on the bot side of the map. Look at all these wards that have been set up, making it a lot more comfortable for Kiaya to play in the 1-versus-1 matchup. Just getting that deep vision in just provides them with that extra bit of security so that they know that the Rumble can play very, very safe while Levi starts pathing back up towards the top side. But BLG naturally doing the exact same in response, making sure that they have good vision coverage, keeping track of where Levi is on the map so that these surprise ganks are less likely to be effective.
Bin looking to try to get in range of Kiaya, but can't quite do it. It's just going to be constantly trading back and forth here. Kiaya doing a good job spacing Bin, it seems like, when we're checking in for the most part, not allowing him to really get those good trades. And I mean, when you're playing against Ambessa, so much of these matchups is about forcing Ambessa to use the spells to close the gap, not allowing her to begin trades with those spells. As Kiaya again overheats, and this time Bin is going to be in a lot of trouble. The equalizer is ready. He just hit 11. I think Bin, it's time to get cooked. There's the equalizer, turns around with the public execution, does proc the Eclipse Shield, trying to run for the hills, but it's just not enough. Kiaya will not allow him to escape.
Kiaya gets a solo kill onto Bin. What a fantastic play, punishing the aggression from Bin. The Rumble now sitting at 2-0-0, a 1.2k goal lead for Kiaya. And GAM have everything going for them. No Rumble ultimate available for the Dragon spawning in 5 seconds, but the Corki is in position. Bin does have the TP available to join in the event that a fight does kick off. Emo avoids, and this is the thing, I feel like GAM is showing the utmost respect to BLG while still playing with nothing but confidence.
Absolutely, and you have to. You cannot disrespect Knight and Bin and Elkanon. These guys have been here so many times before, but there's a fight breaking out. Elio could be in trouble. The seismic jump does connect onto Levi, but he is tanky enough to survive. Bin arrives with a TP, so does Kiaya. Remember, Kiaya has no ultimate. Emo hitting on the side, trying to get them low. You can see the ultimate coming out from Jhin as well. On flashes forward, there's the flash from Beichuan, sending Kiaya into the wall. He's overheated and he is shut down, and now Emo's in trouble as well. Just like that, BLG roar to life, take 3 kills and the Dragon.
The snap engage from BLG was ruthless. They isolate the support. They make sure that they have a numbers advantage, and as GAM is filtering in, they just pick them off one by one. You'll see Levi and Elio sitting in the river trying to contest some vision. The Taliyah ultimate comes through, then they get split off. Artemis can't really offer anything. The Corki is still separated, and the TP is late from Kiaya. Remember, no Rumble ultimate available. Then the knockout onto the Varus means that he can't get involved in the fight, and it just becomes pick after pick after pick. And what was a 2k goal lead for GAM disappears in a single fight.
Yeah, it's just being able to find these small windows, punishing your opponents. It was a great angle there from Knight, comes over with the Weaver's Wall, able to section them off. And without Kiaya having the ulti, he couldn't really get much of anything done in that fight. So great punish there from BLG. They now maintain the gold lead, as Kiaya will try to defend this tower here, but seems like it may not be long for this world. He's trying to deny the feats of strength. They're both rushing for this first tower, which would get it for either team. Emo down here on the bot side, supported by Elio. It is important that they try to push for this.
Do have the numbers advantage on the bot side of the map. A hook is going to go wide for Elio. Another wave is coming through for Knight. He's very close to securing that tower.
Yeah, I mean, Levi's got to get up here, otherwise they're going to lose the tower, I think, on this wave. Kiaya needs help to defend it, but Knight is pushing forward. Kiaya trying to keep it alive. They are racing for it. Bin on the other side does pop the ulti. Elio tanking up the tower as much as he possibly can. Kiaya about to overheat, trying to run for it. As Beichuan's coming in, there's On arriving as well. Going to pop the ulti to try to tank up the tower. Bin is in trouble. Emo's making it happen. There's the public execution, trying to take down Elio. He does. He's in the 1v2. Can he make it happen? The shield, the double. It's Bin, and he is back.
Beautiful play from Bin, leveraging the tower aggro to punish the 2v1 dive. BLG will also get the top tower, and very quickly the momentum is shifting. BLG finding plays across the map, getting the flash from Kiaya on the top side, and Bin getting 2 kills in the 2 versus 1.
Yeah, that is just a backbreaker. They're obviously trying to rush for this first tower.
And you can see the tower aggro is going to connect onto Elio. Bin is going to leverage that by utilizing his ultimate to keep him underneath that tower. Once the hook comes through, he keeps him in tower range. Nice backstep from Bin to create that space between him and Emo to then turn it into the kill. The shield then comes through, procs the Eclipse as well, and then secures the double kill.
I mean, that was just so beautifully played. Small thing there. Bin goes for the backstep, pulling Emo away. So Elio had to walk further into tower range to get the locket on him. He wasn't in locket range, so he walked up to try to give that locket. That meant he got stuck in that tower for an additional shot, gets taken down. Bin pulls off the 1v2. As his W comes back up, he has the shield, he has the Eclipse shield. He is just making it happen, man. And that is the thing about this guy. You know, say all you want about an inconsistent year, but he is on fire so far. And now Artemis in a lot of trouble. Is going to flash out, but it is not going to get him anywhere. Elio could be next to fall. The equalizer is going to use from Kiaya, but not to much effect whatsoever. And in comes Beichuan in the Herald. They're just going to let it crash into the tower. The tower is incredibly low. On is looking for the dive here. Emo trying to push them back, but they're really struggling to do so. Hook's going to go wide there from Elio. Now the ulti does come out, but Kiaya has already fallen. BLG are running away with it out of nowhere.
BLG do not hesitate to punish a mistake. The moment that you overstep, they capitalize. And look, they're even fishing for more. Knight trying to hover off in the fog of war. He will be spotted out, but this tower is surely going to fall. And BLG, with the small advantage that they were able to find in the earlier skirmishes, they are mounting a massive gold lead. 3.3k now the advantage. A mid tower secured just short of 4k. And as we jump into the replay, an engage comes through from On. He knows he has the ultimate, but the quick collapse coming from Knight means that again, BLG guarantee themselves a numbers advantage. A 5 versus 3. Kiaya has no angle to get involved. Artemis has already lost his life. And then when they continue the siege, On is just saying, screw it, I'm just going to keep them away from the tower. Let's see if we can secure this objective. Kiaya steps up too far, and he gets punished by Knight. Great positioning, great play from BLG as they mount firm control here in Game 1.
I mean, it feels like it was a minute ago we were talking about this race for first tower. BLG now took all of the outers there, as you can see in the Coinbase gold grind. This is all of the different sources that Knight has gotten gold from. So you can see 1,100 of his gold is from kills, 4,371 from minions, and so on. As there's been going in again, it's going to be another kill here. As Artemis, great start, but he is getting caught and he is getting punished once again. No flash, no chance.
BLG are just so effective at finding these small positioning mistakes and capitalizing so quickly. Knight's ability to collapse. He didn't use the ultimate this time, but we've seen it multiple times. And while it might seem like that they're over-grouping, I feel like GAM is just being drawn into the fight. Rather than looking for cross-maps or looking for advantages elsewhere on the map, they're just constantly trying to trade with BLG, and BLG are getting the better of them. Now Knight once again throws the ulti out to catch this mid-wave and look for a pick.
Yep, you are not allowed to trade. They're saying you cannot take that tower. Levi tried to get down there and see if he could fight over Otacon. Does proc the phase rush, but he's got no flash, and I think he's going to get chased down. There's the flash in from On. Bin and 3 members of BLG will knock down Levi once again. He wanted to get there, see if he can make a hero play at the Otacon, but he loses his life, and it's just going to be a dragon as well off the back of that. As BLG are just taking everything. They're farming your jungle, they're defending their mid tower, they're taking Otacon, killing your jungler, and then getting the dragon.
It was a promising start for GAM. Some really awesome plays from so many members, but BLG, they are the classic. You give them a finger and they'll take the whole arm. The moment that you give them a semblance of an advantage, I know, right?
I gave them my finger.
And they want the arm.
That's messed up.
And not only, they're beating you with the arm right now. They're taking absolutely everything. It's so messed up. But BLG find themselves with a 5k gold lead, second items being completed across the board, and they're looking good. We wanted to see a statement game from BLG, and it was looking shaky within the first 10 minutes. But here we find ourselves 22 minutes in, and BLG are looking confident.
Yeah, I mean, Knight now well over 2,000 gold ahead of his counterpart here. He did go for the Magi's, lost some stacks off of that, so it is a bit unfortunate, but he is, of course, on his 2 items, got the early Rylai's. And when you look over, you see all these melee champs on the other side. It's going to be very frustrating for them to be dealing with this. So it is going to be, I think, a tough ask for Kiaya, Levi, and the rest of GAM to try to come back here. You start feeling like it has to come down to picks. Find people inside lanes. Try to find odd number fights where you can find a 2v1 or a 3v1 or something like that to try to even out the fight. But BLG is just pushing this game forward so fast. I mean, you have 4 minutes until Ocean Soul.
Exactly. And I think that that is another angle. Ooh,
Bin is going to go in, but this time Levi is behind him. Has been a bit off more than he could chew. Levi overheated, trying to get the damage down, and TP's even coming in as Beichuan's going to arrive. So does Elio. Now an equalizer, well placed. It's going to be flash out there from Bin. It's now Beichuan that is the target. He has a flash of his own, but not even going to need to use it because the reinforcements are arriving. Elk is here, and Knight is positioning for a possible Weaver's Wall here. He's in the banana brush, and here he goes. He's trying to section them off. Levi is going to get trapped, and Levi's got no flash. Stunned against the wall there by Beichuan. Going in for the re-engage as his team is firing over the wall, and now Beichuan has to flash out. It's Elio that is the target. GAM will retreat, will survive, but just by the skin of their teeth, BLG clearly too much to handle.
A very awkward fight for both sides there. I was expecting BLG to look for a cross map, but there were only really tier 2 towers for them to play for, so instead, Knight set his sights on actually collapsing, looking to try and convert this into more kills. I think Levi, once he was trapped, played that very well, utilizing the Twisted Advance to get out of harm's way, but ultimately it doesn't result in a huge amount. Summoner spells were burnt on the side of Elio, along with the flash being used by Beichuan and Bin. Those summoner spells could be crucial, but with the next objective still a minute away from the Baron, I think we're really setting our sights on that Dragon. Soul for BLG, 2.5 minutes away. I think their priority is going to be pushing in these sideways, getting good vision coverage around that side of the map, and potentially looking for a few more picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be up to GAM to just try to get as strong as you possibly can and have a proper setup to try to deny this from BLG. When you are playing a comp like this, Corki Varus, you're so reliant on your poke. We talked about it during the draft. If you are a poke comp and you're playing into Ocean Soul, things are tough. So we'll see if they can find a way to make it happen. But you're looking at the map right now, and there's just not really any wards in the area for GAM. You can see that Elio is trying to get over there and trying to reestablish some vision control. Bin here getting chased down by Kiaya. The rest of the team is coming in. We'll see if they can find him. Remember, he has no flash. The Equalizer is there to slow, and in comes Levi. Public execution going to be used, and he is just trying to waste their time as BLG on the other side of the map are looking for a play. They do get the shutdown, but again, it costs them the Equalizer. That should be up, though, before the Dragon does spawn here, as BLG looking to pressure some towers.
Good news is that the wave was quite far away, but Emo needs to be very careful. He's going to respect the collapse from Beichuan, and this tower is going to fall. I would say that the risk of using those ultimates is that will they be available for the next Dragon's fight? 1 minute and 20 seconds. I imagine that the Equalizer will be up, but it's going to be close on the Maokai ultimate for sure. Kiaya will secure his second eye. I mean, actually, he's still sitting on a decent amount of gold. He'll have to go back to base and spend what he can. The tower still standing, as BLG have done a great job of keeping all of these outer towers alive. But this Dragon, 1 minute away. This is going to be what I imagine the big deciding fight. If GAM can potentially find a turnaround fight, that's their avenue for a comeback. Or BLG, it could be the final nail in the coffin for securing Game 1.
Absolutely agree. When you're 5K up here, if you grab Soul on top of that, it just feels like an insurmountable advantage. So GAM may get just that one more shot here to try to make something happen. Kiaya does go back to base, spends up that gold like you talked about, and does get the Seekers. So it is going to be something very important for this next fight. But it is going to be problematic that you can see the third item is now done for Elk. He has the LDR. You can see both of Banshee's Veil as well as the Blighting Jewel, the components being built up for both of those there for Knight. So he's quite strong here as well. And BLG looking to try to regain control over mid lane.
Find ourselves in a tense situation. GAM recognize that they need to gain some space, but their vision coverage is very limited. And Elk is doing a good job of controlling that mid wave. On
they are very stacked as On's going to go in, and Bin is here to support. On in a lot of trouble, but he is going to survive as he flashes out, and the Nautilus falls on the other side. Kiaya running for the hills here. He's going to have to flash out that public execution, but Kiaya does barely survive the 4-shot. Goes into the stasis, but he has got nowhere to go, and Beichuan finds another stun there onto the Nautilus looking for him. They do knock down a third member from GAM, and it feels like just like that, the fight is already done. BLG crush it. They take 3. They're going to take the Soul to boot.
It feels like that it's too much of a wallet difference at this point. It was a straight up front to back, and that Maokai just melted. The fact that On was also able to get out of that situation, and then the rest of BLG chased down GAM. A very awkward situation for GAM to find themselves in. They did not get the optimal setup, and they end up falling short.
Yeah, not going to be able to fight their way in. They're trying to get through these chokes, trying to stay together so they don't get picked off. But the problem is you're just setting up these great angles for BLG to attack.
So let's look at our MasterCard price this moment, as it's Levi that gets engaged on initially, and that's who BLG focus. They don't overcomplicate the fight. They just turn their attention to the front line. Once he's gone, they then look for the chase by removing the Corki. The collapse becomes even easier with a really nice Taliyah wall coming through from Knight. It once again splits up GAM and makes the fight easier.
Oh, we're back to live. Elio tries to flash out, hooks to the wall, but he's just dead, and Beichuan wants even more. Knight's positioning has been a thing of beauty. Every ult that you're talking about, Vedius, seems to be perfectly placed. And now Kiaya in a world of hurt down here. Bin with the double buffs, with the Ocean Soul. He does not care about your poke any longer.
I mean, it really has been a beautiful game from Knight, kind of the silent carry in a sense, but we've seen it in every single play. His use of the Taliyah wall has just been flawless.
Yeah, and GAM now trying to see, can they find a way in to try to seal away this Baron? Teleport coming out there from Kiaya, but here comes Knight one more time. Beichuan and Bin trying to push their way in. Artemis is left out to the wolves, and he's going to get bit in half as Beichuan pushing back the jungler. He's 3 levels up. Emo's dead as well, as they're just trying to look to try to end the game right here, right now. They get a third, and they are on the march now. The wave is going to be coming in. They're not heading to the Baron, so they just want to try to close it out.
BLG with ruthless execution on the team fight. There is little room for GAM to react. They execute, they destroy, and they capitalize. BLG setting their sights on the Nexus.
It's Levi and Elio versus the entire team, but with the Ocean Soul, they don't have the damage to stop them. We'll see if they can clear out the wave, find a miracle play, but I don't think it's going to happen. Elio falling as well as Elk goes dominating. It's 20-8. It's a 10,000 gold lead. It's 29 minutes into the game. And BLG just padding the stats, trying to get more kills here on the doors to the fountain, as Artemis is going to respawn just to die one last time. It's an ace again for BLG as Emo's now respawning. They want another kill. Mercy, cries GAM, as BLG takes game number 1.
A convincing performance from BLG. The early game looked a little shaky. I loved the confidence from the GAM bot lane. The solo kill from Kiaya. Things were looking good, but it only took a single fight from BLG to close the gold gap and swing the momentum massively in their favor.
That's scary stuff, man. We have seen these kind of series so many times in the past where some of these underdog teams come out, they show their prowess, their individual skill in the lanes, but then when it becomes time to moving around the map, to setting up objectives, to moving as a unit, BLG definitely looked like they were on another level in this first game.
Yeah, they certainly did, and BLG kind of meeting the expectations put upon them. Coming in as heavy favorites, dominating game 1. We'll see if GAM can bounce back.
We will see BLG claim the first win of the series. Dracos, what you got back at the desk?